commission to order. Roll call. Brooks.
Here.
Chuck.
Present.
Brian. Thomas.
Here.
Melissa.
Here.
Rob.
Here.
We have a quorum. Item number 3, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, approval of minutes of the February 16th, 2023 regular meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, public comments. Anybody wishing to address the commission may do so. Hearing none. Let's move on to item number 6. This is a home occupation permit for 200 West Holly Boulevard. I believe the applicants are here. If you could just come to the podium. Is that on, Patrick?
It just needs to push the button.
Okay. If you just want to come up to the podium and give us your name and address and what you would like to do. Before you talk, there's a little button on there that says press to talk. If you could just press that.
Red light will come on.
Yep.
Be all set.
Perfect. Let us know who you are and what you're looking for.
Hello,
Hi.
There we go.
Brian and Valerie. We are coming from Canada, looking at moving to Brandon and want to make an offer on a house. Before we do so, we'd like to make sure it's approved for the uses that we'd like to do. My wife is a hairstylist, and she'd like to have an in-home occupation so she can do hair.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
I got a couple.
Turn your mic on, please. Thank you.
Well, first of all, you said you're from Canada? Whereabouts? My wife's from Estevan.
Oh, gotcha. We're from the Niagara region.
Oh, wow, okay. All right. Now, I understand you're going to do this in your basement?
We would have to choose a spot, the right spot for it that follows guidelines, but I believe it would be the spot that's on the side of the home. I don't know how to describe it. It has its own entrance, and it's
It's already set up
It's
as a
set
pool
up.
room right now for playing pool, but it's actually set up with its own laundry and washroom, and it's already got the tile floor. All you gotta do is plug in a backwash bowl, put another sink in, and put a mirror on the wall, a chair on the floor, you're good to go.
and it is separate,
Perfect.
like it
Yeah.
has its cut off from the rest of the house.
Okay.
Well, that takes away a lot of my questions, because I misunderstood that you were doing it in your basement.
Okay.
So,
Anybody else have any questions? Chuck?
Paul, you had questions that they'll get answered?
So in dealing with this, are you going to have any new construction, walls, doors, electrical, plumbing?
There's nothing that will need to be done except for a little bit of plumbing to put in a backwash bowl. The plumbing's already in the wall.
Okay.
It just needs to pull it out so you can get the hair washing sink in and
Okay.
stuff.
So who's going to do that work, the plumbing work?
I have no idea. We don't know anybody here yet.
Okay, sure. So we issue plumbing permits out of the city, so if it turns out to be that, so. And again, the space is going to be on the main level then?
This will be on the lower level
Lower level, okay?
and,
So-
of the house.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, so it's going to be a little low. And then there's a handrail on that staircase?
Is there a
Oh,
staircase?
Oh, there's no staircase.
There's no staircase involved? Okay,
No.
people are coming in from the rear side or from the side?
Between the outbuilding and the home,
Okay.
and there's an entrance right where
Right there.
they'd be parking.
So no customers will come in the front door? Okay,
This has its own entrance.
okay. How about a smoke alarm on the lower level? Yeah, you probably have not gotten
We
into
haven't
detail.
even really looked at the house well enough to see what's there and what's not,
Okay.
but getting up to
So,
code would not be
I have a
an issue.
quick question. Can we issue a home occupation for a house that
Is not owned?
Yeah.
Well, the owner of the property signed the petition.
Okay.
Yes, to- well, let's check that.
You could make the effectiveness of the home occupation permit conditioned on purchasing the house.
Right.
Do you have any plans for having any other employees?
No,
It's basically you.
yes.
Okay.
But it's not necessary to put that condition on it. I mean, we can issue a home occupation to, who signed off on it? Dean, that's the signature of the property owner?
As home occupations sit in the city, the home occupation attaches to the property.
Yep.
So you could issue it and it would attach to the property. So, and if it was not used for that purpose for a year, it would terminate.
Sure.
So, and that's a topic that'll be coming up, whether you want things to be that way, or if it's a home occupation, you want it to attach to a person instead of the property.
Okay.
But that's an upcoming discussion, but currently it attaches to the property.
And the current owner did sign the
Yep.
application.
I see that now on the bottom of that
Okay.
application. Okay.
Question.
Yes, sir.
As the person that has paid for it and
Yep.
is trying to get it to go through for the purpose of buying it,
Yep.
it's not that I'm trying to add value to the current owner. If they like, oh yes, now I can
Yeah.
add this to my sales, like, ooh, it's available to buy with this
Yep.
added to it.
It's just one of those little technical things where we're just trying to make sure that we're doing it right. So, yes. Anybody else have any questions?
Paul, you got any more questions?
No, sir.
You could handle all of those when they have to come in for a permit?
Right, yes, sir.
Yep, okay.
I would make a motion we approve.
Motion and a second to approve the home occupation. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Did you move south for the warmth? Oh, boy. All right. Item number 7, public hearing on the neighborhood business district. So since this is a public hearing, I will open it up for any comments that would like to come forward on this.
For members of the public, there are drafts in the back, and just looking through it, unless you're very familiar with our code, going through the various sections and reading something applies to 15-15-5-A, B, that probably doesn't mean anything to you. So I've tried to put little captions on the draft back there to tell you what it's referring to. So those are in the back. I put a process slide up behind him. Basically where we are at now is this P&Z public hearing recommendation. The next steps, whether they recommend or not recommend, it goes to the city council. That meeting is scheduled for next Monday at 6 o'clock, and it'll be in here. So that's the next step. Then there's all sorts of things after that. But so that's where we are in the process. Staff had one recommendation on the text. Since we removed the buildable area requirement from the lot and yard regulations, we would also strike the buildable area definition from the last page in the definitions.
That makes sense.
But other than that, that is all the changes staff has.
Okay. Anybody here?
I would just make mention, I don't know if everybody here is aware of it, but we have a, Tammy chairs a development committee. It's got developers, contractors, builders on it. They meet monthly. They reviewed this at their last meeting and nobody had any objections.
Okay. No comments? Anybody up here have any comments? I mean, we have done this for 6 months, so I feel like we've gone around a bit.
I'd make a motion that we make a recommendation would do pass to the city council.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Nice work. That was created very quickly. I mean, we took that long to figure out how big a sign should be, so. All right, item number 8, public hearing on off-street parking definitions. Since this is a public hearing, I would also entertain any comments. This particular thing dives deep into the weeds, so. Does anybody up here have any comments? Anybody like to make a motion to move this to city council for approval?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to recommend approval for city council. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, preliminary plans for Stone Ridge Estates. Okay. Do you have anything you want to tell us? Come on up.
Brian with Ambassador Companies here in person this time. This is basically the same plan, concept plan that you had reviewed, probably last summer or fall, with no changes. We've been working with Tammy as far as some small additional changes that were minor in her opinion. So I'll take any questions if you have it.
So as I see it, you have one road that goes in and the same road comes out. There's no other entrances or exits?
I guess to answer the question, yes and no. I mean, if you,
Oh, yes, that way, I see.
yeah, because you'd have you'd come up on, I believe it's, sorry if I'm wrong, on Sioux Boulevard, and you could go out to the west. And I can't read that there, so.
Granite.
Yeah, so there'd be technically two entrances. I mean, at some point, it would all be under the viaduct to get to the remainder of town, but, right.
Close to the interstate. The road that goes behind us here,
That is the interstate.
that's the interstate.
Yeah, there is no road behind it. The
Yep.
only street would be the one in front. So those lots, I don't know the approximate depth of those lots, but they are deep, and the buildable area is closer to, I believe it's basalt,
Okay.
with that. And then there's the topography drops down towards the interstate. So, and then the other thing is there's that dotted line that runs across the page, which is that overhead power line easement of those towers. So no structures can be built within that. So there's the additional, outside of the depth of the lot, but they have that buffer of the power line easement where there can be no structures or anything there.
That's the pink dotted line.
It's the dotted line. I can't see if it's pink or not, but yes. The one that goes right across the top there.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, so
I'm with you.
no more construction to the north of this? ever,
Correct.
Right.
Right.
No. I mean, unless they want to build a really expensive bridge over the interstate.
No,
Well, or,
we
a
do not.
place where there might be even more cul-de-sacs.
No.
Okay. Because I see there's two here.
Anybody else have any questions? We need to approve the preliminary plans, is that correct?
Correct. Then they go on to city council for Monday.
Yep. And Tammy has reviewed these,
Correct.
and she has no questions or concerns?
Not that she has expressed to me, but otherwise we would work through them with the developer if there
Sure.
were any.
Okay.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the preliminary plans. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Did red 28 work or? No?
It didn't. We'll try it again some other time.
There you go. All right, item number 10, discussion on institutional district sports venue event center.
So.
Go ahead, Patrick.
So, not much work has been done on this because we are waiting on quite a bit of information. They're in the works right now are the Hockey Association and Brandon Wellness looking to build, each have an independent building structure situation in Aspen Park. I've talked to the Hockey Association guy. We think the sports venue event center definition works for them. I'm still waiting to hear back from the Wellness Association, Brandon Wellness, who they are partnering with. That will play a big role in what we call the use. Commercial rec facility probably isn't right, because I don't know if we want a for-profit thing located in Aspen Park, if they partner with a nonprofit or a public entity, however we want to slice that, so that's why that's highlighted. So then we would have to come up with a definition based on who they partner with. But the big thing to talk about is signs, of course. In the institutional district, your signage is based on your amount of street frontage. Aspen Park has
A
the
million
street
miles.
frontage of that little corner. So we will need to come up with an alternative to that, potentially. Some places do it by the size of the building, and have not heard back. The Hockey Association seems to think they'll need very little signage. We potentially think they'll need a little bit more just because they're going to have sponsors that'll probably want their names out there. And that's probably true for Brandon Wellness as well. They haven't really given us signage numbers, so they want it to move forward. At least hockey does, because they are ready to go. So I don't know if we take a blind stab in the dark and hope it fits, or how we want to do it. But so that's kind of the discussion. What do you think is an appropriate amount of signage per square foot, or if it's a total, or you get however many signs, but they can't be bigger than 5 by 5 on the exterior of the building, however you want to do it. I am open to your thoughts.
5 by 5 seems a little small, I think.
Are we thinking there would be signs at the entrance out on, what is it, Glenwood, Nicholas?
I don't know if they've mentioned signs there. I think they've mentioned one on the outside of their building. I don't know if they would be adding something new to the actual entrance of Aspen Park or not.
We, as a city, we have to look at like a directional sign at the entrance of the park directing people pool this way, diamonds this way, right? That kind of a thing. I don't know if they would require a sign at the entrance specifically for their facility.
As far as we know, they're not asking for one,
Nope.
right? Okay.
Any luck, Patrick, if we've known of other communities that have dealt with this?
I'm sure there are. I just haven't been that deep into it. I thought our earlier discussion would take much longer than it did.
Regarding signs, I don't think they need to be so big that you can see them from Sioux Boulevard.
Not Sue. No.
There was some talk one time that they wanted them that big.
But what about the highway?
That either.
Well, it's easier to see. It's up here. The feelings are down here.
I think that's a bit excessive.
Okay.
How big is the sign on
What? Oh, gosh. That's got to be, the hockey probably, something in that place, I suppose. The Shields Iceplex, I think, is on the building, right? And isn't it the whole side of one of the buildings? We could probably look it up, but a big sign. So does the Pentagon.
If you go out to that Sanford complex, they've got signs on the building, but they aren't so big that you can like see them from the interstate.
No. I think most of their signage out on the Sanford Sports Complex is on the building. Most of them. There's some directional signs sort of getting you around the complex, but
Like monument signs.
I think most of the actual signage is on the building themselves. I don't even know if there's.
Doesn't look like there are any up in the air.
No. So, I don't know. Big enough to get your attention, not so big to keep people awake.
The other consideration is this is institutional, so this would apply to everything in an institutional district unless we wanted to start parsing out uses for sign standards in the institutional. So we would need to come up with something that works. A lot of things potentially in institutional could be,
What?
they would not be in a public park. They would be
What is
more
our
in the city. So there's some kind of, what do you need to do to protect the park, but also consider that it applies everywhere versus
what
all
is our
sorts of stuff.
what is our current sign regulation in the institutional? Because I know this would apply to the schools and the churches in the city that are already here. And I realize that when you drive around and look at like the churches with the message boards, the school district also has a lot of message boards. Those aren't small signs.
Institutional. Wall and projecting signs shall be permitted so long as their cumulative area per lot does not exceed 3 square feet per 1 foot of linear street frontage with a maximum of 200 square feet. Roof and projecting signs may not be located higher than 5 feet above the building's roof line. Freestanding signs shall be permitted so long as their cumulative total area per lot does not exceed 1 square foot per 1 foot of lineal street. They shall not exceed 30 feet in height above grade. However, signs located less than 500 feet from a residential zoning district shall not exceed 18 feet above grade. So it's all the street frontage.
How many feet from a residential district?
500. If it's less, it's 18 feet. If it's more, 30.
Those new houses being built over there would not be within 500 feet of these buildings?
We would need to measure it out.
Okay.
And that whole text is potentially what we're up for grabs.
Well, are we okay with the text that's there?
I'm curious, are we going to have two signs out by the entrance? Is there just one entrance for both these facilities?
As of right now, Aspen Park has one entrance.
No, I mean,
I
this is
imagine
at the end of the road.
they will be located within a close proximity to each other, but I imagine they would probably each have a
Their own,
drive and a
yes.
parking.
Not shared parking or anything like that?
I've seen the hockey plans. I don't know if I've seen the wellness plans enough to really give a definitive answer, but it's my understanding that they will be close but separate.
Yeah.
So we just want the signage for the hockey venue.
And the wellness when
Well,
they...
yeah.
Yeah.
And if we're okay with how it's already written for institutional zone, then we don't really have to do anything.
Correct.
Unless they come in and they want to ask for more. But we already have sign regulations that he just read for institutional zones.
But
Based on
they're
the
based
little
on
corner.
frontage, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
They would have to ask for a potential variance to this because of a unique situation.
This would probably fit.
Like the B and G had a variance because of where they are,
Yeah.
and they had such
Their frontage was very small.
frontage, and then your board approved larger because of the circumstances. Okay. I'd probably agree with that, sir.
But there could be more street frontage along here if another entrance goes in. I mean, theoretically, that would increase the street frontage.
Correct.
So, I don't know.
Is that planned in the near future?
We will discuss it. When's the CIP? May. We'll discuss it in May. We have to find money first.
So these situations with Aspen Park, these are these gonna become parcels to themselves? Or, because the city's gonna own the land still, correct?
Correct.
And so usually you'd have street frontage in a lot, and the street frontage would apply to that lot. But in this case, we talked about the little sliver of street frontage. I mean, technically, would that apply to the whole park? That's
Correct.
I mean, you could take the whole drive all the way into the park for it if you wanted to.
Yeah,
That's not a public street.
because those, yeah. those
None of
roads
it
in the
is.
park are not streets,
It is not.
technically. Okay.
So, yes, it's my understanding that the land they sit on will not be platted off, even if it's still part of Aspen Park. It's just Aspen Park, and
Yes.
they're going to set a building on it.
Yes, the city will still own the land. I believe they'll collect rent, is that right, Barb? From the entity that's putting the building on it? Potentially could collect rent or not, but the city will maintain the ownership of the dirt underneath the building. And then these entities would be in,
Who does like mowing and lawn care?
well, yes. You would like to see the people that own the buildings do the maintenance to the buildings and the area around them, but again, that's up to the MOU that gets written.
And do we know tentative building plans this year, next year?
Hearing from hockey, they seem to think they're ready to go as soon as they can find someone to help them build a building. But whether that's realistic, I don't know, but I think that's my understanding of it. I can talk to them.
Yes.
I think we should let it stand with the institutional signage that's already on the books. And if they want to change it, or if they get more land or more frontage, whatever the case comes when that arrives, we can address it then. Or they can file a,
Well, the simple fact that these two buildings wouldn't be located on a public street does, it basically eliminates any frontage by our definition. So therefore, they would probably be a candidate for a variance, since they wouldn't be located on a public street. And I don't think that's ever going to be a public street. I don't think.
Most likely not.
Right. There would be a public street coming into Aspen off of Ironwood, potentially, but that would stop when it got into the park, if I remember correctly. And then it would go back to being a, do we call it a private drive when it's on public land? Or is it just a trail?
It wouldn't be platted off as a private drive or a mutual access easement, so it would probably just be, I guess, the equivalent of a driveway.
Sure. Anybody else have anything to add to this?
I would say leave it alone for now, and also see if, Patrick, you could find any other community that's dealt with this.
There's got to be examples of other places that have public land with buildings on top of them that the city doesn't own or maintain or whatever.
Yep.
It's got to exist, I would assume.
At Harmondon Park in Sioux Falls, there's a B&G Milky Way. Yeah, and I don't know, it looks like it's in the park, but probably isn't, but I've always wondered about that since I saw it go up.
If I had to guess, it's probably platted off on its own. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We could.
Is
pull
that
up
something
GPS.
we could do?
Plat off a lot in the park?
Well,
So,
yeah, make it its own entity. Well, not unless the other entrance was already there, I think. Because eventually there'll be an entrance to the park off of Split Rock, right?
no,
No?
not Split Rock. Sioux. Not Split Rock.
Sioux?
Yeah.
behind it.
Like over by Branson's house.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah, off of, not split, not the highway. It's not gonna come down the hill off the highway.
okay.
No.
Okay.
Did we answer your question? We didn't give you an answer,
Yep.
so we did.
It sounds like you want to keep the signs the same until a change is forced or they come to get a variance. So what we will probably push forward at the next meeting are, based on what, I think Wellness is coming out with an announcement very soon, who their partner is. So we will have some more information and we will get the uses put in the district.
I would agree with that, because I wouldn't want to change all of the institutional just for 2 buildings.
Yep.
So we might as well just address them as they come before us. Yeah, agreed? Okay. Very good. Item number 11, building permits for February. Paul? 0?
What comes in the front door, sir?
I did read an article this morning that Sioux Falls only had 10. That's not very many for Sioux Falls. So I guess we'll take 0.
Few factors contributing to that.
56 inches of snow, I think I saw in the news this morning. Is that it?
And interest rates.
What?
And interest rates, sir.
Oh. All right, having no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7 o'clock.
Whoa.